If you track the wrong prompts, your GEO program optimizes for nothing. You can have the best content team, the best schema markup, the best Reddit ecosystem, and still post zero citation lift in month 3 because the prompts you are measuring are not the prompts your buyers are actually asking. In the last video, we covered the 22 signal GEO audit we run at Red Engage. Signal 1 in that audit was per model citation rate across a tracked prompt set. Everything downstream depends on picking the right prompts. This video is how to pick them. 5 steps. Each takes a few hours. At the end, you have a curated prompt set that reflects where your category is actually being searched, not where you wish it was being searched. Let us start. Step 1. Map the buyer journey prompts. Every buyer in 2026 runs the same rough path through AI engines: awareness, consideration, decision, but each stage produces a different shape of prompt, and your tracked set has to cover all 3. Awareness stage. Someone is learning a category exists. What is generative engine optimization? How does AI search work? Why do AI overviews matter for B2B? These prompts are educational, often long-form, and the citations tend to favor authoritative content sources. You want to show up here because the first impression shapes the shortlist. Consideration stage. The buyer is actively comparing solutions. Best GEO agencies for B2B software. GEO tools that track ChatGPT citations. How does Peak AI compare to Profound? These are the prompts where the citation funnel collapses to 3 names. Winning here drives direct pipeline. Decision stage. The buyer has a shortlist and is pressure testing. Red Engage reviews. Red Engage versus competitor X. Is Red Engage worth the money? At this stage, AI engines look for third-party validation, case studies, review aggregators. Showing up here means the buyer has already heard of you. The rule of thumb split is roughly 30% awareness, 50% consideration, 20% decision. Most brands overweight decision and wonder why the top of funnel is empty. Do not make that mistake. To map these, spend 2 hours brainstorming the actual questions your buyers ask across the 3 stages. Then validate by asking 3 to 5 recent customers, or your sales team, what they searched in the last month. You will find prompts you never would have guessed at, and you will drop prompts you assumed were important, but nobody runs. Step 2. Branded versus generic split. Once you have your candidate list, categorize each prompt as branded or generic. Branded prompts explicitly mention your brand, your product, or your direct competitors. Red Engage reviews. Does Red Engage offer schema audits? Red Engage versus iPull rank. These prompts test whether the AI engines understand your entity. Generic prompts use category terms only. Best GEO agency. How to audit for AI search. GEO tools for SaaS. These prompts test whether you are discoverable at all for people who have never heard of you. The split rule we use at Red Engage is roughly 40% branded, 60% generic. Branded coverage below 80% citation rate is a red flag, meaning the AI does not understand your entity. Fix that before you worry about generic prompts. If your branded citation rate is above 90% and your generic is below 20%, you have the opposite problem. The AI knows you, but the category discovery is broken. The mix shifts by company stage. Series A startups should run 50% branded because entity understanding is the foundation. Series C and beyond should run 30% branded because the category discovery prompts drive most of the pipeline. Step 3. Volume prioritization. Not every prompt deserves equal tracking weight. You want a mix of high-volume commercial prompts and long-tail informational prompts weighted roughly by estimated impact. High-volume commercial prompts are the ones that drive the most potential pipeline when you show up. These are the top 3 to 5 prompts in your category that a serious buyer runs right before a purchase decision. Estimate volume using a combination of Google search data, industry report mentions, and your own sales team intake. In most B2B categories, these top prompts carry 70% of the pipeline value despite being only 15% of the prompt set. Long-tail informational prompts are cheaper to track, easier to win, and compound over time. 10% of your tracked set should be questions like, how do I set up structured data for GAO? Or, what does LLMS.txt do? These do not drive immediate pipeline, but they build your entity authority in the category, which makes you more likely to be cited for the commercial prompts. The middle is where most brands overinvest. Generic long-tail questions that do not map to a purchase decision and do not build category authority. Skip those. They absorb tracking budget for no return. Here is the weighting we use internally. Each tracked prompt gets a priority score from 1 to 5. Score 5 is the absolute top pipeline driver. Score 1 is informational long tail. We weight every reported metric by priority so that a 10% citation lift on a score 5 prompt is weighted 5 times a 10% lift on a score 1 prompt. Without this weighting, a strong-looking aggregate can hide a 0 lift on the prompts that actually drive revenue. Step 4. Competitive benchmarking. For every tracked prompt, identify who else is being cited. Run the prompt yourself in ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, and Claude. Log every cited brand. After 30 to 60 days of tracking, you will have a dataset showing who dominates which prompt in which engine. 3 patterns to look for. Pattern 1. Prompts where a clear leader owns over 50% citation share. These are entrenched. Competing head-on is expensive and slow. Consider whether the prompt matters enough to contest or whether you should pick adjacent prompts that the leader is not yet dominating. Pattern 2. Prompts with 3 to 5 brands at 20 to 30% each. These are competitive but winnable. Your job is to move your share from 10 to 30% in 90 days through targeted content, platform work, and technical lift. Pattern 3. Prompts with no dominant brand. Fragmented citation, often pulling from random third-party content. These are the highest leverage opportunities. A focused 3-month push can let you own a 20% citation share from a standing start. We map every tracked prompt onto this 3-pattern grid. The roadmap for the next quarter prioritizes Pattern 2 and Pattern 3 prompts. Track competitors, not just yourself. If your agency only reports your citation rate without showing who else is being cited, you are flying blind on competitive dynamics. Step 5. Maintain and rotate. The prompt set is not static. AI search behavior shifts with product releases, category news, seasonal cycles, and new competitors. If you are still tracking the same 50 prompts you picked 18 months ago, some of them are stale. Our quarterly ritual. Every 90 days, we review every tracked prompt and score it on 3 criteria. First, is the prompt still reflective of how buyers ask the question, or has the phrasing shifted? Second, is the prompt still volume relevant, or has search behavior moved? Third, is the citation landscape still the same, or have new competitors emerged? Roughly 10 to 15% of the prompt set gets rotated each quarter. Dead prompts come out, new prompts come in. Your tracking data then shows a continuous picture of what matters now, not what mattered a year ago. Be disciplined about this. Sunk cost creeps in. A prompt you set up to track 2 years ago feels like it deserves to stay just because you have been measuring it. If it no longer maps to pipeline or category, cut it. Now, how many prompts should you track in total? We use a 3-tier system. Starter tier, 20 prompts. This is the minimum to produce a reliable baseline. Below 20, the signal is too noisy, and the citation rates swing wildly from week to week. 20 prompts tracked across 4 engines gives you 80 data points per cycle, which is enough to see real trends. Standard tier, 50 prompts. This is what most mid-market B2B brands should run. 50 prompts lets you cover awareness, consideration, and decision properly with enough depth in each stage. It also lets you segment by region or buyer persona if you need. Enterprise tier, 100 to 200 prompts, reserved for brands with multiple product lines, multiple buyer personas, or multiple geographies. Below 100, the reports get too noisy. Above 200, the reports become unreadable. 100 to 200 is the range where complexity stops adding value. What each tier actually costs in tracking time. Starter is manageable manually in 2 hours a week. Standard requires a tool like Piece AI, Profound, or Otterly, which costs between $200 and $1,500 a month, depending on engine coverage. Enterprise requires a dedicated tool plus weekly analyst time, often a full day a week. Pick the tier that matches your stage. Starting at Enterprise tier when you are Series A is a waste of money and analyst time. Starting at Starter tier when you are Series C is leaving category coverage on the table. Common mistakes we see. Mistake 1. Tracking only branded prompts. Gives you a false sense of visibility. You look great on your own name, but you are invisible for category discovery. Mistake 2. Tracking only decision stage prompts. Skips the top of funnel. You win the comparison step, but get to the comparison step for fewer buyers. Mistake 3. Copy-pasting a competitor prompt list. Their customer base is not your customer base. Their prompt set reflects their positioning, not yours. Mistake 4. Setting up once and forgetting. The rotation discipline from step 5 is essential. A prompt set that does not evolve is dead in 6 months. Mistake 5. Tracking aggregate citation rate only. Missing per engine, per source type, per prompt priority. The aggregate hides everything that matters. Mistake 6. Not benchmarking competitors. You measure your own citation rate without knowing whether you are winning, flat, or losing ground. Mistake 7. Obsessing over weekly fluctuation. Citation rates swing 10 to 20% week over week from noise alone. Only quarterly trends are meaningful at most prompt volumes. Avoid these and your tracking gives you signal. Fall into 3 or more of them and your tracking gives you confusion. Here is the exact sequence we run with a new client. Day 1. 60-minute workshop with sales, marketing, and product leadership. Brainstorm candidate prompts across awareness, consideration, decision. End with approximately 100 candidate prompts. Day 2 to 3. Validate with 3 to 5 recent customers and 3 sales reps. Cull the list to 70 to 80 candidates. Day 4 to 5. Score each candidate for branded versus generic, stage mapping, and priority 1 to 5. Prune to the target tier, whether 20, 50, or 200. Day 6 to 7. Run each final prompt through ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, and Claude. Log citations. This is the baseline snapshot, day 0, before any optimization. Week 2. Competitive benchmarking pass. Identify the top 3 to 5 competitors per prompt. Classify each prompt on the 3 pattern grid. Dominated, competitive, fragmented. Week 3 onwards. Tracking is live. Weekly or bi-weekly report depending on tier. Quarterly review and rotation starting on day 90. That is the full methodology. It takes 1 week of upfront work, and it pays off for the life of the GEO program. 2 more principles worth calling out. Principle 1. Prompts should reflect real buyer language, not marketing language. Marketing teams write prompts using the terminology their internal positioning uses. Buyers use different terminology. If your internal term is revenue intelligence platform, but buyers ask for sales forecasting tools, track the buyer term. The AI does not care about your internal positioning. Principle 2. Prompts should be prompt-shaped, not query-shaped. Old SEO thinking produced 3-word keywords. AI engines receive full-sentence prompts. How do I choose a GEO agency is a prompt. GEO agency is not. Track the prompt form. Buyers type or speak full questions to AI engines. Your tracked set should match. If you get steps 1 through 5 right, your reporting becomes a competitive weapon. You know what buyers ask. You know who your competitors are. You know where you are winning, and you know where to invest next. Without this, every strategic conversation is guessing. At Red Engage, we run the prompt selection workshop as part of the standard engagement setup. 1 week end to end, delivered in a prompt roster document with priority scores, stage tags, competitive benchmarks, and a quarterly rotation schedule. It is foundational, and we do not skip it. If you want help running this methodology on your category, the audit link is in the description. The 22 Signal GEO audit includes the first pass of prompt selection, which gives you the baseline prompt set and the competitive benchmarking. From there, you can either upgrade to a full engagement or take the prompt roster internal. If this was useful, the next video in the series covers the cadence of what to publish weekly, monthly, and quarterly to maintain citation momentum once the prompt set is live. We walk through the actual content calendar, who does what, and how we measure week over week. Subscribe so you do not miss it. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.